everyone, and welcome to the morning show right here on Main Street TV, where we have a very special show for you today as we have the cast of Steel Magnolias and the Apple City Players going to be here with us. It's March 7th through 9th, which will be, this weekend? Very exciting at the Marquee. And so we're going to be hearing from some of the cast members in just a moment. Apple City Players, of course, a wonderful group here locally that do put on quite a lot of wonderful performances, typically at the Marquee, and they do such a great job. So Steel Magnolias taking on that one a little bit different. They tend to do some comedies, so we're taking on that little drama this coming weekend. So can't wait to hear from the cast and what they have to say. So without further ado, let's have a couple of messages, and then we'll be back with the cast of Steel Magnolias.
At Vinton County National Bank, we believe in supporting the areas where we live and work. Now, we'd like to honor those who also serve our communities. Our new Community Champions account is especially for first responders, veterans, active military, and anyone employed in the fields of healthcare or education. This account offers rewards, discounts, and other benefits to those who give so much to others. Vinton County National Bank, rewarding those who serve.
Did you know Jackson is home to a locally owned and operated full-service print shop? Zip Printing covers all your print, signage, and design needs. From business cards, booklets, and posters to yard signs, banners, screen-printed t-shirts, oversized signage, and more. We can help you or your business advertise and look good doing it. Zip Printing also offers logo design. Allow us to assist you in building or elevating your brand today. Zip Printing is located in the Stockmeister Plaza at 708 East Main Street in Jackson, Ohio. So stop in or give us a call at 740-286-3023.
Saturday, August 16th is Southern Rock Woodstock in the Gallipolis Fairgrounds. This event will feature 3 decades of original artists and legends, such as Leonard Skinner, 38 Special, and Molly Hatchet. In light of this event, Total Media will be giving away 4 VIP tickets. For a chance to win these exclusive passes, comment your favorite Southern Rock song, and our staff will vote on which one is the best. Good luck, and may the best man rock out.
Hello, everybody. We are the cast and crew of Steel Magnolias, and we are here at the historic Marquee Theater in downtown Jackson. Steel Magnolias is March 7th through 9th. Tickets available now. Kim, how do they get tickets?
marquetickets.org, or you can call the box office, or you can come in Tuesdays through Saturdays from noon to 5 at the Marquee.
All right, now that we got that out of the way. My name is Doug Sharp. I am the director of the show, and we're going to go right down the line here, and everybody's going to introduce themselves and who they're playing.
Hi, my name is Amanda Gowan, and I'll be playing Weezer.
I'm Cynthia Stifler, and I'll be playing Clary.
I'm Mary Bracey, and I'll be playing Truvy.
Hi. Hi. I'm Allison Morris, and I'm playing Annelle.
I'm Kim Seitz, and I'm playing Malin.
I'm Melissa Stutzman, and I'll be playing Shelby.
All right, so Steel Magnolias. This is a generational phenomenon, I would say. This is a show that's very special to a lot of people, particularly women. So I'm just curious to know from you guys, what does Steel Magnolias mean to you? And what did it mean to you coming into the show in particular? Anybody?
Start at the end.
Sure. Well, I don't know. I've seen the movie a ton of times, but something my grandmother said to me the first time I watched it stuck with me. She said it's a beautiful movie, but you don't really understand it until you have children. And so after I had my daughter and then saw it again, it was just like, oh my gosh. So I guess it just family and togetherness and the power of bonds between women. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just even stronger when you're a parent.
Great. And I'll jump on that. I also think it's all about family and about friendships and actually being honest with yourself about how you really feel about the people in your lives.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to top both of those answers. because those were very good answers. But like Melissa said, when you become a mother yourself, seeing it after, completely different view on it. And yeah, the family, the friendships, the bonds that they have, and it's just a beautiful story.
Anybody down here?
I was just going to say, like, one of the things that has been kind of unexpected was, I think, how nice it's been for all of us, and like to do like the rehearsals, and how good we feel kind of like afterwards, and like that's going to be like a whole different thing to try to bring that like feeling to kind of everybody, and that's kind of like a meaning I didn't really expect to find, and it was just like how good you kind of feel having these conversations and having all these feelings, and then I hope we can kind of include everybody in that.
I think that, the bond of lifelong friends changes over the years. We know their children and what they're up to, and even when there's a new person like Annelle who comes along, we just welcome her into the fold so easily because we know how to be friends. And I think that that's what makes the movie special, is that women tend to do that. They'll bring in people, especially if they're close, really close.
Being a woman from the South, I remember seeing it the first time and really being struck by the fact that, yes, women all over, especially in the South, are expected to be, charming and gracious and all of this, and then also have this steel core, because they are the backbone of the family, and they are the ones who get the family through everything. And I'm really pleased to be playing Truvy, because laughter through tears really is my favorite emotion.
And being a woman from Southern Ohio, I would say my experience with Steel Magnolias. No, I think it's universal. I think, believe it or not, guys, there is something you can relate to here too. It's this, at the very core, this is about the people you surround yourself with, the friendships that you have, how they change over the years, what different people mean to you, mother-daughter relationships, father-son relationships, it all connects. A show like this is really special because the way we've decided to stage this is very intimate, from the lighting to how close everything is on the set, and it's what's meant to be conveyed is that this is just a group of normal, everyday women in the South that are having the conversations they have, and you as the audience are listening in on these conversations. You're part of the conversation. You're just the quiet one, like Annelle over here. Looking at like the movie goes kind of big at times, and I think we've kept everything kind of small. So how important was it to you guys to do something different than what we've seen in the film? Which the movie is fantastic. If you've never seen it, it is fantastic. Sally Field is the greatest of all time. But how important was it to you guys to like kind of show a different side, maybe something that you don't traditionally get with this show? I've seen other versions of this show that play it kind of big as well.
Yeah, I think with the character of Weezer, it's traditionally just like bigger and bigger and bigger. And I really, it's not that I did it like small or tried to be like tiny or like reserved with it, but we were really able to go back to like the script and the source material and look at like how these, the people in the movie, they interpreted it a certain way, and we were really able to interpret it completely differently. So we're not doing impressions of the, these wonderful actresses in the movie.
Yeah. Well, the play is written so well that it's easy to develop a character. You get the sense of each character from the script, and I think that you don't, even though the movie captures it almost to a T, you could find nuances through that script of who the person is.
I love that what you've done is stage this very intimately, because then all of the emphasis is on the relationships of these people, and the emphasis is on these conversations that they have, instead of, comic gags or bits or physical comedy. It really comes down to these relationships with these people.
Yeah, it was really important that I wanted just real people. And I wanted it to seem like I said before, like you're in on the conversation. It's got to just be normal and real and everyday. And it's so well written, like Cindy said, that it never really feels like you're watching a play. It just feels like you're watching a group of people. Did you guys have an answer to that question about the film?
I was just going to say that because it is so enclosed, so to speak, that you can really focus on the emotional part of the storyline too. Everybody can relate to a broken marriage or illness or that strenuous mother-daughter relationship. Everybody knows somebody that is like one of these characters. And I think being so close together on stage in this lighting without all the distractions of all the big movie gags that they do for sales or whatever, that it lets you focus on the character work, not just the storyline.
I was just going to kind of tap into that too, especially with Annelle. With past roles that I've done, like with Crystal and Hallelujah Girls, I was really goofy and weird. And then, Violet was kind of ditzy. And, I've typically had those kind of roles. And coming into this, I thought Annelle would kind of be the same way, because in the movie, I always kind of giggled at her and thought she was funny and goofy. But like they said, with the script being so well written, I actually got to learn who she is as a person, and it's not necessarily that she's a character, that she's goofy or anything. She's been through heartbreak like most of us have, and just really diving into her story and learning who she is as a person and bringing her to life has been really cool, and not her just being this silly, goofy weirdo.
So when we did auditions for the show, typically when you audition for a show, particularly an ACP show, you just show up, we hand you a script, it's a cold read. You're just reading it for the first time with everybody else. But I wanted to take a really different approach this time and kind of see what kind of work you guys put in to, I wanted to know that once we got in this process, who was going to really dig in and really work on the material. So I'm just kind of interested from you guys what it was like preparing those monologues. I know Melissa in particular just loved working on a monologue for these auditions.
Okay, so at first it was very stressful, the idea of not knowing what to pick, because there's an infinite amount of stuff to look at thanks to the internet. But actually, after I did it and had it and felt confident in it, I really enjoyed doing that, because it challenged me. It allowed me to work on basically a character, a little mini workshop for myself to work on a character. And I got to do a monologue that I loved from one of my favorite television shows. So I was mad at you at first, but actually yeah, basically, I actually think it ended up being a really great idea, because it, like you said, it forced us to work and to dig deep and to connect, and I was kind of proud of myself.
And I think as ACP is growing and we're doing the more well-known shows, the audiences are looking for a specific thing that you bring to that character. So doing that monologue ahead of time and focusing on what character you might want to play, it caused us to put the work into it.
You want us all to talk about our monologue? Okay. So yeah, I agree with Melissa. I was really nervous about it. There was a moment where I thought, okay, maybe I shouldn't try out. I don't think I can do this. And I really doubted myself. And I probably read through 30, 40 different monologues, and I just didn't really, I don't know. Once I got to the monologue that I chose the America Ferrara, I think that's how you say her last name, from the Barbie movie, her monologue. And even when I told people I'm doing the monologue from Barbie, it was kind of like, oh, okay. But actually, it's just such a powerful message that she shared, and I really connected with it. And like Melissa said too, once I got done and I walked out those doors, I was really proud of myself, because I think it was the first time that I stood on the stage and said something and felt it, actually felt it. And so I was proud of myself. So I think I grew as an actor that day.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Anyone?
I love monologues. and loved being able to get up and do a monologue for y'all. It's just you have the opportunity to really delve into that character and build that character because it is such a short thing. You have to really define the character as a whole before you go into the monologue. And make sure that character has a past and a future beyond just that little bit. So I really love that kind of work. So.
I hate monologues, but I wanted to bring energy. I think that I thought if I can get them involved and get them excited about what I'm trying to say, that I would come across as being fun. So I like that with every character. I try to see. I mostly play funny characters, so I try to find a little funny parts in them. I got to challenge myself with something a little more dramatic.
Well, I think with the monologues, it really shows you that you're willing to like work really hard to learn something, and it shows who's willing to say, I really need to do a lot of work at home. I need to do a lot of work beforehand and see how I feel about all of this. And then if you go into it knowing that you're going to do that, then that kind of helps before you ever get started on the acting part and with your role. Yeah, so it helps. I mean, it sucks, but it helps.
We had one actor that auditioned, and I won't say her name, but she did a monologue from Apocalypse Now that was chef's kiss. I mean, wow. I don't think it was a comedic monologue, but she played it that way, and it worked really, really well. It was great. So we were talking about how the show is generational. Something else that has turned out to be a generational thing is this production itself, this one particular production, is very ACP generational. We have Mary and Cindy and I have been in this thing together since the very beginning, 8-9 years ago, however long it's been. And then we have Kim and Allison that came around 2-3 years into ACP. Then we have Melissa and Amanda who came in just in the past year with the group. So that's been really neat to me personally, sitting out there watching like the different time periods. And I have so many memories with every one of you from different productions we've done because I'm in all of them. But I have a very special relationship with every woman that's in this show. Don't take that wrong. But very, very particular relationships with everybody. Amanda I've known since we were teenagers and did illegal things that... Yes, and we were in a play called Frankenstein together in high school. And I think knowing her, the reason I really wanted her as Weezer is that I knew she would take an interesting, different perspective on that character that we don't see all the time. It's really easy to just come in here and be the angry old woman that just shouts at everybody, but you've brought a lot of heart to it. I think Weezer might be one of the most lovable people in the group. I don't think she would want us to feel that way about her. But and then with Cindy, Cindy and I have been paired up together many, many, many times on this stage, and there's a certain trust and an unspoken thing between Cindy and I feel like, from the past 8 years, that we know each other's moves.
Yeah.
And we know what we're going to get. And sometimes we surprise each other, but we know what we're going to get. And there was nobody, I think, that auditioned that could play Clary other than Cindy. I think you cannot teach comedic timing. Yeah. You cannot teach natural charm. And you have all those things. And your presence on stage to other actors is very comforting as well. People love to be in scenes with you. And I knew like that was a perfect fit for you. I'm just going to go through and talk about all of you. This is the Doug show now. Truvy here, Mary. Mary's perfect casting for Truvy because Mary is a very empathetic person. Mary is always there with an ear. As you get to know her, and we've known each other a long time now, you know you can rely on Mary for those conversations that you can't have with other people. You're like, hey, can you just listen to me about this? Blah, blah, blah. Just, I got to vent. Always great to give you advice or not give you advice, but just listen. And that's who Truvy is at her core, I really feel like. Allison. Allison, I feel like, is perfect casting for Annelle because Allison is my niece, and I have watched her whole life. And I've watched her figuring out who she is as a person her whole life. And I know there have been ups, there have been downs, and you're still finding that confidence in yourself and finding out what your purpose in life is. And that's Annelle to a T. I think she's somebody who may have had some struggles, but surrounding herself with the right people, she's finding who she is and realizing what she's meant to be. Kim over here, I know better than I know anybody on this whole stage. She's my sister. I knew Kim would be a good choice for Malin because I think even though Kim can have, I don't want to say a hard exterior at times, but you mask your feelings. But when you're vulnerable, you're vulnerable. And I knew, watching you grow as an actor over the last few years in ACP, I knew it was time to really give you that push that I knew you would get there. I knew you would bring out that side. And I'm so proud of you and everything you've done. Melissa's a brat. And I mean that in a great way. I think Melissa is bratty. But she's also strong-willed. And she knows what she wants and she knows who she is. And she doesn't care if you don't like it. And that's Shelby. Would you guys agree? That's Shelby. So casting this, I don't want to say it was easy because we had some great other people that auditioned, but at the core of it, knowing all of you individually and who you are, or at least who you are to me, it all made perfect sense where you guys ended up. So, who else wants to talk about something now? I've talked long enough. So, this is our winter show. We have the 3 performances next weekend. And after this, we have something else coming up. We're going to plug the other show, too, just for something to talk about here. After this, we have our first musical coming up this summer, and that's called Little Shop of Horrors. Maybe you've heard of it. But our director is our own Malin here, Kim. Do you want to just give us anything about Little Shop?
I would love to give you something about Little Shop. Okay, so as soon as Still Magnolias wraps, we are going to be getting our tickets ready to go on sale because this is going to be a huge show. We have a big cast, over 18 people involved, plus our crew. We've already started practices, and when I tell you that the musical talent is phenomenal, don't take my word for it. Come see. Or walk past the marquee one night when we're having practice and you will hear them on the street. We had some people stop and look in the windows last night like, what is happening in there? But I'm really super excited about it because we planned on this show last year. And so I've been digging into each scene and breaking down each song, and Allison is helping with the choreography. And we have to stage it around all of the people that we know, like we're talking here with, we know who we have to work with, but we also have 6 or 8. 6.
I was thinking 7.
7?
So it's somewhere right in there.
A lot of new people too, that we're bringing into the family fold here. And so we have a lot of different levels of choreography ability, but it's all there. The talent is there. So there's been a lot of buzz around the community. Everyone's really excited about it. I think it's going to be a huge show for ACP, and it's campy and it's quirky, but it's a lot of fun. So I really hope you come see it.
All right, enough about Little Shop. I was just giving you a second to talk about it. This is Steel Magnolias. This is art. But, guys, I can't tell you enough that you need to come check out this show and see these fantastic women and the fantastic women that they have created with these characters. It's just been a complete honor. When we first pitched this show, my idea was we should have a woman director, woman crew, all woman cast. This should be all women. And then no women wanted to direct it. And I'm like, I guess I'll do it. I wasn't real familiar with Steel Magnolias, to tell you the truth, but I'm so glad that I've gotten to work with all of you. And maybe just one last little go around here. Just what do you hope people leave this theater feeling after they see this show?
We talked a lot about how serious it is, but it's really, really, really funny. You should know that too. It's really, really, really funny. And we do really feel good, like after we have all worked together. And I hope that everybody else gets to feel that, like how you feel when you've spent time with people that, really open up and that you trust. And, we hope we can kind of bring that.
This is actually a play about real people. Robert Harling, he wrote it about his sister and the group of women that she was surrounded by. So I hope that the audience takes away some of the people that they know and their circle of friends.
I really feel like the audience is another member of this cast in this play. It's so important for them to be there. Like you said earlier, they're the other person sitting in the beauty shop listening. And I hope that that's the feeling they come away with, that they were a part of this as well.
I think the word that always kind of comes to mind when we do this, and especially when I leave, it's hope. Like we've talked about, it's very relatable. I think that every person in the audience is going to relate to a character, whether it be like Mom said or Malin said. Sorry, she's my mom. How you had said that you can relate to whether you're going through like a broken marriage, you're brokenhearted, you don't know where to go, you're trying to pick up the pieces and be who you're meant to be, or you're going through an illness, or somebody you love is going through an illness, or anything. You're going to relate to something in the story, and I think by the end of it, really hope, just knowing that it's all going to turn out the way it's supposed to. Everything happens for a reason, and just believing that you're not alone in this world, that everybody's going through something. And so that's my hope, is that you leave with hope, whatever you're going through.
Good answer. How do I can't follow that? No, I think that it also gives the message that there are big things in life, and everything is important, even the little things. And if you have a friend or a family member, and even if they don't vocalize that, that you can do anything. Like one of the lines that she said is, well, we could have done something. So be that person for somebody. Just be an ear. Just be a lending hand. Take that away from you. And hug your mama.
I hope everybody sees all these wonderful answers and realizes how wonderful it is to be in this cast with these women, because it's fantastic. But anyway, I'll just kind of reiterate a little bit what Mary said, and is that I hope people come here and feel a part of this and feel the joy and the love and the sorrow, just all of it when they see this show. I hope they don't just sit there and think, oh, these are people on a stage, that you really feel connected to what we're doing, because it's, I don't know, I think it's really connected all of us.
And I hope you go away $18 lighter in your pocket because you bought a ticket to Steel Magnolias. No, I hope you go away and at some point when you're sitting at home, just think to yourself about how much work these women put into this show and how much of themselves they gave and left out here on the stage. So I think, yeah, well, we Yeah, we do have some sponsors for the show. We do want to thank McKee Paving, D&W Homes, Mark Porter Ford, Julie Arthur. Is that all of them? Yeah. Okay.
And as always, thank the Marquee for letting us do our shows here.
Yes, the Marquee is fantastic. They are our home. They do so much for us. Thank you to the Southern Hills Arts Council. Anything else anybody wants to add?
Yeah, next door for learning.
Oh, yes. Yes, big thank you to Picture Perfect and Kendon's Cuts. I was getting to it, Brett. They've donated a lot of the things that you're going to see on the set here. And, guys, I think we just need to rehearse now. So, thank you, Main Street TV and Total Media, for always supporting us and being a big part of what we do. But on that note, we'll see you next weekend. Thanks.
All right, and that is your cast of Steel Magnolias, which will be performing this coming weekend at, not Oklahoma, Pete.
No, that's right.
This coming weekend at the Marquee, and they will put on several different productions over the weekend. And Steel Magnolias, if you haven't seen the movie or a production of it, is quite an emotional roller coaster, to say the least.
Right. Bring your box of tissue.
Bring your tissues with
if you have, If you have
it is
if you have
precious.
any heart at all, unless you can just get in your mind that it's a play, it's not real.
Yeah, I
But
don't
things
think
like
so.
that do happen, though.
It does, and these actors are so good that you get sucked right into it, and you can't remember that it's just a play. So, but we do want to thank our friends from the Apple City Players for being our guests today on the show. Did a little pre-recording there, so I hope that you enjoyed. Well, now our good friend Pete Wilson is here with news, and so what's going on?
Okay, well, we've got a kind of a potpourri of news coming at you. And we're going to start with a injury-related wreck that occurred late yesterday afternoon.
Oh, we don't like those, Pete.
I know. Our intrepid Jeremiah Shaver was on the scene. This was just outside Jackson. I believe it was outside the corporation limits, State Route 32 and Pattonsville Road. And it was a two-vehicle wreck that occurred about 4:05 p.m., and this is the result of that. As you can see, it looks pretty serious right there.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Collision involving a pickup truck and a small car. And it was, there's been wrecks, certainly, at these intersections off 32, particularly near Jackson. And the Pattonsville Road 32 intersection has seen some. What you have there, an awful lot, are people crossing the highway on Pattonsville Road from one side to the other.
It's a long cross. I was telling them earlier, I feel like that's a football field to get across those 4 lanes of traffic.
It seems like it. You might get a little impatient because there's 2 lanes of traffic, and if I'm got my sights set right, if you're driving eastbound, there's a curve there,
Yes.
and so you're just tooling along at 60 or 65 miles an hour, and you're not thinking that much about somebody pulling out. And usually the wrecks there are failure to yield wrecks, and that's what this one was, according to the State Highway Patrol. But there is the picture, and here is what the patrol told us last night. We thank Jeremiah for working past time to get this information, and one of Lieutenant Cassidy's men for being good enough without a media release to provide this information so we could get it out. But once again, 4:05 p.m., 32 and Pattonsville Road, Zachary Bapst, 19 years old from Wellston, was operating that GMC Sierra truck, and he was attempting to cross 32 on Pattonsville Road. The other vehicle was driven by Bruce Garrett, age 65, of Ray, and he was operating a 2016 Nissan Sentra. And he was traveling eastbound. We mentioned, the eastbound sites, not as good if you're out on the highway. And anyway, Mr. Bapst failed to yield the right-of-way and struck Mr. Garrett as he was, trying to proceed east there on 32. Both vehicles traveled off the road, came to rest on the roadway. Mr. Garrett was transported from the scene by EMS with what was thought to be a serious injury. That was the initial appraisal. Mr. Bapst, who was not injured or not injured seriously, didn't have a report on his injury, so he may not have been injured. He was issued a citation for failure to yield from a stop sign. There is a stop sign there. That is a stop sign intersection. It's not one of those merge deals that you have at some of the larger exits and entrances off 32 around Jackson. All right, so let's talk about something nice. Yesterday, when I was talking about the boy wrestlers who had done so well, particularly Travis Bucklew of Vinton County. Remember, he is heading to the state wrestling tournament for 3 years, through now the third year in a row.
He is.
He won the district tournament this past weekend, and that qualifies him for the state in Division II, the 126-pound category. We didn't know exactly about how our girls did, of course, and the big name there is McKenna Craft.
Yep.
But you may not be surprised to hear that McKenna Craft finished first in the district tournament. That was at Big Walnut High School
Not a
near
big
Columbus.
shock.
There is McKenna right there. I love this picture. She obviously knows that she's doing well. When this picture was taken, she has one of her opponents down. But in the district tournament, she won 2 matches. And remember, at the district tournament, you have champions coming from the sectional.
Yes.
They're good wrestlers, great
Everybody's
wrestlers.
good.
But she won 2. She won 2 matches by pins and 2 matches by technical falls. Technical falls is where you get so far ahead that they say this thing's over.
Oh. Like a mercy rule kind of thing.
That's kind of about how they are. They call it a technical fall. I think I've got that right. I looked it up.
Okay.
But anyway, in the championship match, she defeated Mila Cruz of Watkins Memorial High School by a score of 22-5, and that was considered a technical fall. And so,
Do you think those girls show up and they're like, oh, God, McKenna Craft is here. Oh, no.
For the uninformed, McKenna Craft, now a senior at Jackson High School, is a 1, 2, 3-time state champion.
Yeah.
And you start when you're a freshman, you can't do any better than that. The first year, it was not a sanctioned tournament, but the wrestling coaches did it. It was the next thing, too. OHSAA sanctioned girls wrestling the next year. She won as a sophomore. She won as a junior. And she is obviously one of the favorites. And that's probably putting it mildly in this year's state tournament. But as you know, anything can happen, and it's a one-and-done thing, just like it is in basketball or football. You happen to lose, you have a bad day, your opponent is a little bit better for 10 seconds.
Yep.
It can all end.
Anything can happen.
So right, but
we all know that.
McKenna, in a release put out by the OHSAA on the upcoming wrestling tournament, her name was in there. I mean, mostly there wasn't a lot of individuals mentioned, but she is considered the most decorated girl wrestler going to the state tournament this year, which, you can't do any better than 3-time state champion.
Right.
And I'm not sure there is a boy who is a 3-time state champion.
Yeah.
But McKenna Craft is such a celebrity, not just here in Jackson County, that statewide she is on a billboard, and we have visible evidence of that.
That is awesome.
I don't know who the young man is, but he is probably a wrestler of similar stature. And
Look at that big Jackson,
right,
too. That's
the
pretty
big
cool.
Jackson. There they are. That is promoting the 2025 state wrestling tournament, trying to get more fans turned on to wrestling. There's junkies and parents and supporters that are big believers in wrestling, but it's not usually like a high spectator sport like football and basketball,
Right, sure.
even some of the spring sports. And so they're promoting it. The state tournament this weekend will be Friday through Sunday at the Schottenstein Center. Big venue up there in Columbus. The boys and the girls will be going on the same time. And
That is so
our
cool.
local area will have 2 wrestlers there. McKenna Craft, of course, from Jackson, and Travis Bucklew of Vinton County. Travis, I think I said this yesterday, but we'll repeat. He finished 8th last year, and that was a place. That means that you are a placer in the state tournament. You're one of the ones
huge.
who score, So not sure how many wrestlers are there in each category, but I believe might be 16. And so when you get 8, you're one of the eight scorers, I guess you might say. The Jackson girls wrestling team, fueled by McKenna Craft, actually finished 8th overall in the let's see, with my right on, yes, finished 8th out of a bunch of teams in the district tournament. And the district tournament is like the basketball or the football regional tournament. It is about a quarter of the state is there.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's just not like southeastern Ohio. It was more than that. But Jackson finished 8th, 51 points. And we want to also, like we did yesterday, giving Grant Kennedy credit on the boys' side. He's the 275-pound entrant from Jackson High School. He finished 5th in the district tournament, which means he just failed to qualify by one spot, but he is considered an alternate. On the ladies' side, Madeline Riddle of the Jackson High School girls wrestling team finished 5th, and she is considered an alternate in the girls' state tournament.
Madeline's been plagued by some injury, unfortunately, that, is out of everybody's control. And so, yeah, that's been a bummer for her.
Right. But anyway, that will be taking place once again this weekend, the 7th through the 9th. We'll have some coverage in our Wednesday paper. We'll have the pictures of Travis and McKenna Kraft. If I have any poll with the editor, I'm going to see if I can get their pictures on the front page.
Love that.
Right, and I know Todd Compton, our sports editor, will have some more in-depth coverage, a little more detailed coverage inside the paper, so you can look for that. Sure. Okay, you can also look for this story. This was, for a brief time, just a little bit of a scary story over in Wellston because there was a lockdown of the main schools over there on Thursday morning. We heard about it a day later. John Robinson was willing to release some information. We didn't get that until yesterday, but it's definitely, a headline-type story. What happened was there was an incident with law enforcement and what they considered a threatening situation on Golden Rocket Drive. Golden Rocket Drive is the road that was built when the new Wellston schools were built. The high school is on one side of Golden Rocket Drive. The middle/intermediate school building is on the other side.
Okay.
And just so happened that there was an incident with a male, and it took place out there, and they thought that he had a firearm, and he was a little bit, they considered it a dangerous situation because they didn't know what he might do. I don't think he made any threat against the schools. It's just where this occurred.
Sure.
And of course, you proceed with an abundance of caution. And so this was between 10:30 and 11. All 3 schools were on lockdown. I'm not sure how long they were on lockdown, but when you hear about this, the school's got to put out information. Everybody inside wonders what is going on, and it's not like they put out a news release so but to keep everybody safe and to keep potential danger outside, the schools were on lockdown. Now here is what happened, and we thank Wellston Police Chief John Robinson for this. This occurred 10:50 a.m. was the time he said, but a police cruiser was on Golden Rocket Drive, and there was a male suspect in a truck that tried to stop the police to tell them something. Well, at that time, the police officer happened to be on the way answering a call about a potentially suicidal situation with a male. Now, that worked out, that, there wasn't any tragedy or anything, but at the time, it was an emergency call. So the police officer tells the guy in the truck, hey, I'm busy right now. Whatever it is you have, just talk to me later or go see somebody else or whatever. Well, that gentleman who was in that truck was persistent. He actually put the truck in reverse, speedily went back towards the police officer who was proceeding on Golden Rocket Drive. So the policeman stopped to see what was the matter. That is when the so-called threatening situation occurred. The officer recognized the truck and the driver from past dealings with him in January. It was considered a possible problem situation. He tried to tell the man that he would get back to him, that he was on another call, but once again, the officer had to stop and deal with the situation. The man then admitted, who was in this truck, he admitted to placing a homemade sign on a speed limit sign on Golden Rocket Drive. I'm not exactly sure what the sign said, but he admitted doing that. He also said he had a firearm in the truck, which, you're not supposed to be driving around with a loaded firearm at least. And he was, quote, confrontational and not complying with the officer's commands. So the officer has another emergency situation with this gentleman. All 3 schools then were placed on lockdown. They called for extra backup officers because of the potential for problems. Okay, we can show the picture now of that man, Jimmy, that you have. Was it Josh? Yes, it is. Joshua Spears who is from either MacArthur or Wellston, or maybe he's lived both places. When we got the information from Chief Robinson, he said MacArthur, Wellston. Maybe he's lived both places or it's one or the other. But he's a local guy. But anyway, he was charged with obstructing official business because, he interrupted a police officer who was on another call, resisting arrest, and improper handling of a firearm in a motor vehicle. So that's why the story behind why the schools were on lockdown.
Okay.
But as I said, I don't want anyone to infer anything directly. There was no threat against the schools, from what I understand. It was just that he was causing problems, had an attitude, said he had a firearm. Apparently, there was a firearm in the car, and you're right by the schools.
You're right by the school.
And he's not listening to what the officer is telling him.
Well,
to
what
do.
you don't need is a kid walking out and about with all that happening. So
Right, exactly.
For sure.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
All right, so on the law enforcement front, this situation occurred over the weekend. It occurred on Saturday evening, and a lot of people maybe heard a little bit about this, not about the details of the episode, but they knew that a section of Orpheus Road out in Bloomfield Township, that's way to the east out there past the truck stop, it was closed down because of this law enforcement situation. They were looking for an individual who had been involved in what was later described as a domestic violence incident.
Okay.
That was why the road was closed. That man was eventually found and arrested. His name is Charlie Brown III. There he is. Charlie was involved in what the Jackson County Sheriff's Office described as a domestic dispute with his wife. He left the residence and went to another residence, and they weren't sure that's where he was going to go. But that was the residence on Orpheus Road.
Okay.
The Browns live on Dixon Run Road, which is not too far away. But because, according to his wife, he committed some violence against her, the sheriff's office was called out there, and so they looked for him. They weren't exactly sure what they might run into. They believed that he was, based on what the wife said, intoxicated.
Okay.
And so they did find him at this Orpheus Road residence. However, he immediately did not come out, did not comply with requests and orders to come out. They weren't sure who else might be in that house. They weren't sure if Mr. Brown might be armed. And so that became a potential dangerous situation and maybe a standoff. The way it turned out, a female did come out of that house, and they found out that Mr. Brown was just lying on the couch and didn't seem to be posing a danger. So they went inside, and they arrested him, and he has been charged with domestic violence. Now, he told officers then that his wife had struck him, and that's why he left. So, and he did have marks on his body.
Okay.
So, anyway, for right now, he is in jail unless he's bonded out. Since we got that information, and he is charged with domestic violence. But that is the story behind why the road was closed out and why extra law enforcement help was called out. I know that more deputies was called out. Highway patrol troopers were there as well. It looked like a big deal, but that's the story behind it.
Well, you just never know.
So these details behind these stories, we try to get those so the public knows what's going on. We appreciate law enforcement, whether it's a rank and file law enforcement officer or the post commander or the high sheriff, getting us this information so we can share it with the public. Of course, you got kind of the summary, the TV summary of what was going on, but the full stories will be in our next issue of the Telegram, and they'll be online as well. Okay, well, enough of this black stuff. Let's talk about really what was a fun, upbeat event that I was so glad to be a part of, even if I was just there to cover it, and that was the Marquez Evening at the Oscars event. This took place last Saturday evening at the Parks Edge Event Center, and they had a big crowd. I didn't really know what to expect. Because of COVID and maybe other circumstances, they had not had this big coming out gala event that used to be standard since 2019.
Okay.
All right, and this used to be during the period when Barbara Summers and Maxine Plummer were spearheading the drive to build the Marquez, to redo it and build that beautiful auditorium that's there now. This was a major local fundraising event. Yeah, they got a lot of grants and they did donations. They did a lot of ways to raise money. But this was the signature event of the year where people in different ways locally could support it and add to all that money that was needed to do the marquee work. Well, they still need money to try to keep the doors
do.
open, to pay for performances there.
It's not cheap to keep those doors open.
I understand that they're going to that they have a lot of details not out on this, but I think they have a roof repair project coming, and you know what that means. That's very costly. We're going to show some pictures now. Jimmy, that is Tim Jackson. Is that a good guy to have on your
He's
side?
awesome.
He is selling split the pot tickets, and I bet you that he did better than the normal split the pot seller would be. He is so enthusiastic, and he is the Shack Board president now.
Yes.
That's Southern Hills Arts Council. To you folks who don't know the acronym. And I know we had him on the air, and I bet you he got a few people to go with your
say you're
interview
correct.
there on TV. But he was selling split the pot tickets. Most people dressed up. The tables were decorated in Oscar-winning movie themes. That was great to see as well.
Fun.
So, Jimmy, go ahead and throw up some other pictures. This was, I consider, the top picture of the evening. It's posed, but I tell you why it's important. That's a couple of the Shack Board leaders. That's Jules Stewart, Director of Operations, on the far left. Bethany Sarah Penix, who is on the board member, on the right. They recited a tribute to the late Maxine Plummer.
Yep.
And Maxine and Barbara were the key people, who did the fund drive. Maxine as the board president, Barbara as the executive director, longtime executive director of the Marquee, and Bethany and Jules read a tribute to Maxine Plummer, and the Plummer family, of course, were honored guests. They were there to hear it. And if you didn't know how much Maxine Plummer did, or you forgot about it, you were reminded of it on Saturday night. There, from left to right, the Plummers. That's younger. That is the younger son, Jeff Plummer, and his wife, Cecilia. Then next to him in the back is son, Grant, daughter, Grace, who, by the way, are both doing great guns at the Ohio State University, which you would expect.
Kids.
What such bright, great kids. Then you have older son, Einan Plummer II, and then, of course, on the left and the right, Jules Stewart and Bethany Sarah Penix. And that is the entertainment of the night.
Oh, Kenny.
The Kenny Valentine Band. Now, Kenny has other people in the band, but I kind of focused on him for this picture because he was putting his heart and soul into the music, let me tell you. He is a 1973 graduate of Jackson High School, which I can tell you firsthand because I am as well. And Kenny was an outstanding in academics and on the athletic field, but he also is talented as a singer. He has his own band, and they performed a concert there at the end of the Marquee evening at the Oscars event. That is one of the photos, one of the paintings that fetched one of the top prices in the art auction. A live art auction is a big part of the evening at the Oscars, and before that, the evening with the arts thing. This mimicked the evening with the arts agenda, but that painting was done by Brent Jones, very talented Brent Jones, and his family. Bronwyn Jones, who is his older sister, purchased this for $1,100, and we have them in a picture. Bronwyn, there's Bronwyn on the far right, and by the way, she's a 1973 graduate of Jackson. It's a great class.
Cool.
All right, but also in the picture. On the far left, and they're holding that painting that Brent did. On the far left, you have auctioneer Seth Michael. I'm sure he donated his time. He even bought one of the artwork. Then you have Reese Jones. That's Bronwyn's son, who would of course be Brent's uncle, and or Brent's nephew. And then you have our own Rachel Tipton, who works here at Total Media. That is Brent's daughter. And then you have Harrison Jones, who is Brent's son. And tell me, I saw him and I thought that was Brent for a second. Of course, Harrison, a little younger, maybe a little bigger, maybe a little heavier, but boy, he has his dad's face for sure. So that was a high moment there. I know that they were glad to support the Marquee. Bronwyn's always done that. Of course, I'm sure that there was a personal motive to painting, to buying that painting as well. The other $1,100 purchase was by another generous lady, Mia Henry. I cannot tell you, I don't know the figures, but I can tell
Oh,
you,
gosh.
I can tell you her manifest donations and continuing donations
Oh, my
around town,
goodness.
particularly to the Southern Hills Arts Council and the Marquee. I know she's sponsored the movies that have been there, the old classic movies that they show. She just, does it all. She was not there on Saturday night. She may have tried to avoid the picture, but I was told she wasn't there, but she made sure by proxy that somebody, made an $1,100 purchase. So I believe that is all the pictures there. Kenny, by the way, was such an effective singer and his band that that a place is jiving, and that the mood is upbeat when everybody gets out on the dance floor and dances.
Heck yeah.
That's always tough when you call for that because somebody has to get it started, kind of. But I think almost everybody got up and danced at one time during that concert. So congratulations to everybody at the Marquee. I don't have a figure on what they brought in. The fundraising thing was important, but it also puts the focus on the arts in the community.
It does.
And there were a lot of folks there who came back. They were evening with the arts patrons in the past, and they were back for this event. They maybe don't live here anymore. And there were lots of new folks, too. They had table sponsors, which brought in a bunch of money. That's a kind of new way to sell tickets. And so a lot of people, got in that way. The artists donated their items that was in the art auction, and then, people ponied up, good figures on the art itself. Everything, I think, from $350 all the way up to $1,100. There were about 12 pieces that they sold. They had the Matchbox raffles. They had a silent auction. They had Sean and Park's Edge had a nice spread, a nice buffet there. And so it was just, everybody was in a good mood. And I think they feel positive about the future of the Marquee. And even though it's there now, Jennifer, we can't emphasize enough, it needs to be funded.
She needs to remain.
It needs to be funded. I know Jules is the director of operations. I'm sure she spent some time. The board members have to be more committed and active, maybe even they were in the old days because of the staff situation. So they're trying to put money into the programming and the performances. That's what they're trying to do. But, there is the upkeep, there's the maintenance, and, now there's the roof. And I think that we're going to see some sort of fund drive targeted at helping to pay for that roof repair. All right, one other thing we wanted to tell you before we close off. This comes from the Jackson Area Family Activity Center. They posted this on their Facebook, and we're going to share it here on Main Street TV.
Okay.
They're, of course, working very hard to keep that facility open after disaffiliating from the Y.
Yes.
And they have 24-hour access for their members. If you have the card and all, that makes it very handy for you to exercise and use the facilities when you want. Well, they have said there's a little bit of a problem, a little bit of an abuse problem of people coming in maybe with members who don't have an access card, do not have a membership. And so this is a problem when you're on the honor system. So they put out this statement. Recently, our facility has had a number of people coming in after hours who are not members, underage, or don't have 24-hour access. This will not be tolerated. If you loan out your fob, you will lose it. If you're found to be in the facility without 24-hour access, under the age of 18, or not a member, we reserve the right to charge you with trespassing. This facility is monitored with cameras that record. This facility is for members only, and those purchasing a day pass. That's another way, that you can get in on a short term. Quote, we are constantly working very hard to obtain money to improve our facility. We are currently replacing old weightlifting machines with new machines. Recently, several underage youth were recorded misusing our facility, and this will be addressed, and those responsible will be held accountable. Now, that's a stern message, but obviously a necessary one.
Listen, it makes sense.
That's just like, I don't know, you can think of a 1,000 parallels or analogies, but you're not supposed to use something for free. Everything has a cost.
Right. I mean, it costs, that's just as the Marquee. For them to just keep the lights on is X amount of dollars, and that's like basically stealing.
That's just like
sneaking in.
We just talked about the Marquee. That's just like you having a ticket or a season pass to Marquee Performances and you bringing 5 friends with you who don't pay a thing.
Right,
And you're
yeah.
thinking, hey, I got a membership. Come
That's
on.
okay. Everybody.
Yeah, so
come with me.
I think people should know better, but they think it doesn't matter, but it does.
Yep.
Everybody should pay their own way.
Agreed.
Quickly, Colton Village Council, for those folks who may be interested in it, certainly people in the village of Colton should be, had a council meeting scheduled tonight that has already been canceled. Actually, I guess the word would be postponed. It has been moved to a later date that will be announced. They knew that they weren't going to be able to meet tonight because of a lack of a quorum. You've got to have a majority number of the members there. So I believe we have made it to the 10 o'clock hour. So
Well, thank
we
you,
will
Pete.
we will stop and resume tomorrow with whatnot.
All righty. Well, very good. And thank you for coming in, spending your morning with us, because your time is very valuable and it means a lot to us.
All right, and it doesn't mean anything if we're on TV and it's Fat Tuesday, right?
No.
No. We're as slim as they get, right?
I don't know about that.
I don't know
but
what's the TV do to us. Is it good or bad?
I don't know. We'll have to find out.
All right.
But hey, by the way, some fun Fat Tuesday specials at the brewery today at 6 cents if you're interested.
Right. Well, you might have to come up here to celebrate because I have all kinds of bad weather down in the real Mardi Gras
That's
territory.
right. So come on up to Jackson. We got you covered here. Hurricanes and everything.
That's exactly
the
right.
drink, not the storm.
Okay.
Okay. Have a great day, everyone. We thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be right back here tomorrow. Have a great day.